So I just got back from West Texas. I went down there to meet up with a few buddies of mine, and they were going to shoot a short film. I was going to help, and what more is there to say other than it takes 15 hours to get there from my house. So I decided to stop halfway there in White Sands to just start the journey. So on this day, I decided to use the 55 millimeter that I just got for the Pentax 6.7, and I was shooting Portra 160 and Portra 800. But yeah, it's kind of hard to shoot White Sands because everything starts to look the same after a while. But the good thing is that, there are like these little plants along the way that kind of break it up and kind of allow you to form a composition based around the plants. There's always this moment when you're on a shoot when you kind of mentally call it, or you wrap, you say like, oh, I got it all. Especially like if the sun has set, you kind of, if you're leaving a place, you're like, all right, time to leave. But when I was leaving White Sands, I looked around my shoulder when I should have been driving, and I saw this plant, the silhouette of the plant against the setting sun. So I like pulled over, got all my stuff out, and I'm really happy with this photo. I think originally I was like, okay, I'm going to expose for the sky behind it, so it just kind of makes everything a silhouette. And then I'm saying that this was my thought process during it. Who knows what I was actually doing, but I think I was like, I'm going to try to expose a little bit for the foreground, a little bit, just to see if I can get anything there. And yeah, I'm really happy with this. The scan came out great. Shout out Fort Worth Photo Lab. Yeah, there's not much more to say other than on to day 2.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So the plan was to meet in Terlingua, Texas. That was where our campground was. It's just outside of Big Bend National Park, to the southwest, I think. And it's just like a really photographic area. So the plan was to camp there, and they were going to start shooting their short, which they were shooting their short on a Bolex. You know how good my luck is with Bolexes. But yeah, so the plan was to just stay around the campsite and take photos for the sunset. So for the third day, we decided to kind of stick around the campsite again, because the sun was going to be coming from a different angle, and there were going to be different scenes to shoot, and then maybe after that we can go into Big Bend. Now, I've actually made a video on Big Bend before for Shutterstock tutorials. I don't know if anyone's seen it, if you're familiar with that, but check it out if you haven't. But we basically just kind of recreated the exact trip in terms of like starting in Terlingua, then going into Big Bend, and then going to the exact same spots. But it was interesting going back with, I think it's been over 2 years, so 2.5 years removed, and kind of seeing it in a different way. Like my photography's changed a little bit. I like to think I know a little bit more than I did. But yeah, it was also really nice to kind of be in that familiar spot again. So for this silhouette, this cowboy silhouette, in case you're wondering how I exposed it, I used a 55mm lens, opened all the way at f4, Portrait 800, it was a shutter of, I think, about 1 second. So I put it on bulb, and I think I kind of guessed it and just, hope for the best. for the fourth day, we woke up in Terlingua, and the plan was to head to Marfa, but not before we got a few more last shots in. So on the way to Marfa, it's about an hour and a half from Terlingua. And on the way there, all of a sudden, we just kind of rolled into this dense layer of fog. So I loaded up a roll of T-Max 400 and got to work. And the crazy thing is, by the time we got to Marfa, it completely cleared up, like completely. So we just kept shooting. Now, going on this trip was really nice for a few reasons. One, it was really nice to see Mike and Todd. They were shooting for their channel called Am I a Filmmaker? I'll link it in the description. Yeah, it was really nice to see them. We used to work together at Shutterstock. And I really, I feel like myself in that area. I don't know, that area holds a very special place in my heart. And I think Big Bend is very underrated, and I think you should go if you haven't. If you haven't gone, stop watching this stupid video and go. Go on. Go ahead.
There's some people over there on the phone talking about Bitcoin.